All right, here we are. We're live, brother.
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on where you're
Yeah,
at.
it depends.
Hope it's a good one.
Yeah. So
Um,
looks like we got this thing figured out. We're up and running an hour and a half earlier than the normal time, and looks like the system isn't crashing. We got it.
We
Yeah.
got Helen in here from Rhode Island.
Thanks for
We
being
got
here, Helen.
we got ZM. Looking forward to this morning's sesh. Susan,
Continuation of the Orcas.
what's up?
This is what we're gonna do. Got to get
And
this one
somebody in
done.
chat, guys, say hi.
Yeah.
Camila, what up? What up?
All right, we got. Did you say Camilla's here?
Yeah, Camila's in the building.
Sweet. I'm excited to hear that. Nice.
Ariella from the Netherlands.
Oh, welcome back, Ariella. Cool.
The Netherlands. Something about the Netherlands just sounds far away.
It does.
Like
I want.
if I
Do
had
you
to
think it's the
imagine
same?
being as far away as ever, it would be the Netherlands.
Yeah. Do you think it's the same on, the other way around? You think people in the Netherlands, when
Say
they think of the Americas, are they like the Americas? Man,
No.
so far.
I think it has to do with like the expression the nether regions.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know,
Right.
maybe.
The netherworld.
The Netherlands.
Yeah.
We got England up in the building too. Roundbrook
Sweet.
Steve, what up? What up? Mike
Hey,
from
all right. Thank
California,
you.
Raymond.
Man, how I would love to be able to travel to these places. That's my dream. We're rooted here in northern Arizona. That's a hard thing to break ties from, just for this season of life. But
Yeah.
I do long for that, like getting around the world and seeing people where they live,
Yeah.
seeing what it's like, seeing what other local lives. One of my favorite things. Sorry, I'm rabbit trailing. It's
What's your
early,
favorite
but
thing?
favorite thing is learning local lifestyles.
Mm.
I love it. I mean, just the
Mm.
concept of it is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You would probably enjoy what's that guy's name? Had the TV show. The guy that had that TV show, Joe. You know that guy.
Yeah, the one guy with the TV show. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He was like a chef, and he went around. And
Oh yeah,
cultures.
totally. Dives
Rose-
Burger, something like Dives Diner.
Rose Unknown or something.
Oh, okay, maybe that's different. There's one guy with the spiky blonde hair. That's his iconic look. And
Yeah, this guy's died. He died. So.
Oh, it's a different guy.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Good show. Good show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
Joe's starting out with his paint peeling sesh here.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have done that earlier. I realized it was getting kind of heavy. Well, so it's time.
With some paint peeling.
We want to pre-mix to get the when I get down to some details, it's no fun to have to mix primaries for 100 little patches of color touches. That's a whole lot of unnecessary mixing time. So now I'm at the stage where it's going to be a lot more to my advantage to pre-mix the colors that I've chosen. And it's worth mentioning that my first stage of painting is directly from primary colors. And primaries just means any of these. When I say primaries, I mean anything out of a tube that I can't mix. I'd call orange a primary. I'd call this green a primary because I can't make them. So first stage of the painting, I'll do it that way. Then when I've landed on colors that I really think look good, then it's time to say, okay, let's make a batch of this color, a batch of this color, the different types of colors I have in here. So that's an important thing. I'm going to get that done. We'll put our deep blue in there. Oh, that needs a shake. We're going to put our black ranch dressing in this one right here. A little bit of salad dressing.
I prefer my ranch dressing black.
Yeah, that's it.
Extra zesty when it's black.
Yeah. Boy, you got some summertime noise at your house, Ben.
Is it noisy right now?
Well, I wouldn't say extremely, but I can hear it.
You're the neighbor dog.
I can hear a dog. I can hear birds.
Yeah, well,
you're living the good life over there. You got
someone can hear a podcaster too, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sharing the audio feed. Yeah. Okay. So black, white, blue. This is my dark color. We got to give it a test. Let me see if I got my good mix. Okay. Give it a stir. Let's see if that's what we need. Check it out.
We got France in the building now too.
Oh, sweet, cool.
Gail Lucas.
Okay.
Welcome.
Nice.
Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Okay, cool.
Indiana.
Hey, we're getting closer to home.
People from the same place. I don't think there's any two people in here from the same place.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Hopefully we get a full house. I wonder if the earlier time that we had to do this morning is gonna gather a little different crowd, Because
well, it's funny to talk about the crowd like they're not right there watching us too. What's up, crowd?
Hey, crowd. Thanks for being here. Okay, there we go. There's my darkest color. And the idea of my gradient is it's a little bit darker than I need to go because it's always going to have some amount of my lighter color in it. And so the top of my gradient needs to get more colorful as it gets lighter. That's how I get the glow. For anybody that didn't watch the start of this project, the color here is I can't just add white to this and have it look like light rays. I have to lighten it and increase the amount of color. So that just means less black and white, less gray, more color. No scientific terms here. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to make our light color, and then we'll have everything in between. And then I'll be able to touch on my backgrounds, make a lot quicker work of my orcas. So here we'll put the white in, a lot more of it. And then we'll put a bit of my, what do you think? Phthalo green, phthalo green. I never say phthalo. I always say phthalo, but I don't know if the way I'm saying it is proper.
I don't think anybody says phthalo.
I think I've heard it that way.
Does anybody out there say phthalo?
It's phthalo. Bob Ross said phthalo, so I'm sticking with that. Oh, lost it. Looks like we're painting on an incline back there. Okay, here's my light color. Man, I love this color. Mixing this color is deeply satisfying to me. That when you've been staring at grays. Oh, yeah. That just made me think of something. Ben, the caffeine's starting to kick in a little bit. I just thought of something. So we like the live show is
your thoughts are for sharing, John.
I know. The live show is not for getting to the point fast. Just so everybody knows that's not why we're here. We got to take the pressure off. The live show is for hanging out and saying obnoxious things in the chat. That's what it's for. True. It's your job to try to derail.
Just put Free Willy, whatever that means.
Free Willy instead of Free Willy. Oh, the cleverness kills me.
Because orcas.
Because orcas. Yeah. All right.
Brush.
Yeah. Well, we can put anything in this picture. We don't have to stop at orcas. We can have some fun. All right. Let me check my light color. There we go. Maybe a little bit more light, but we can always just add more white as I go up there. I can add more of the light color. That's probably good. I'll probably stop there. So here's my two colors. This is real handy. Saves me a lot of time as I'm working on details to have those in there. And I was studying the anatomy. I've got some trouble points. Oh yeah, I got to get to that thought that I was going to share. Anyway, we're bouncing around. I've got some markings to patch up and work on. I noticed you know, this is one of my favorite things about new subjects is learning the shapes. I love lines. You know, I think I remember them because I love them so much. Lines, shapes, edges. They have they have mood, emotion, and feeling as they flow, and I get like a natural high out of trying to generate it, especially if there's some good music involved. That's really fun.
You can put some music on.
No, no. Actually, there's some licensed music that's legal for me to use right on YouTube. So you know, I wonder what it'd be like if we just had some background jams just flowing right streaming.
It would be so noisy.
Stupid idea. I know. I was just testing to make sure.
No, I mean it was a good idea.
No.
In application, a lot of good ideas turn into bad ones. You know.
Hey, here's the thought.
Brown Brush says you can put on some ABBA. You remember ABBA?
Oh yeah, ABBA.
Brown Brush is English, man. From England,
Yeah.
they say weird stuff like that all the time.
Wait, what's a famous song from ABBA? Is ABBA the one that's they're not the ones that did the Africa song, are they? Or is that a different one?
Maybe.
I bless the rains down in Africa. That one? Is that? Do I get that wrong? I got it wrong. I'm on embarrassed.
They have a lot of hits, dude. A lot of hits. Too many to number.
Shoot one out at me.
Okay, no, wait. Queen.
Oh, Dancing Queen. Right. Okay. Now I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, that real
17.
Real disco
dancing queen. Yeah. Yeah, I can feel it now.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh wait, no. Somebody says that's Toto.
Whatever. Oh, Toto. Yeah, that was my song. No, that was the one that I said. Africa was Toto. Thank you. They sound the same. Toto, ABBA. It's basically the same word.
It is the same word. It's two syllables with way too much similarity repeated.
Yeah, that's it. Because the feel.
By the way, why are we never satisfied with one syllable? Like why can't it just be mom? Why is it mama or
man?
Dad, or
that's true. That's true. Double syllables.
Why instead of bow?
Yeah, even if it's the exact same syllable, it's
a boo boo. Why a boo boo? Why not just a boo?
Because Ben, this is why. Because it gives you the opportunity to add emotional influx, like fluctuates. It gives you the opportunity to add all kinds of tone, feeling to it.
Gonna have a little nighty night. Why are you gonna have a nighty night? Why not just?
Because then you can say nighty night, but if you just have the word night, it's like night. It's like we're robots. We don't have any feeling.
That's true.
Well, here's an interesting.
Let's look at your canvas while we're talking.
Oh, my bad. Robots. My bad. I thought we were on it. So, in a picture, it's important not to blast it with tons of color everywhere, because then no color. This is the thought that I cut off earlier that I've been trying to get to for the last 10 minutes. I noticed this. I was watching an animated film, like we've all seen a million of them now because it's cheaper for companies to pump out computer generated content. You know what I mean? So like animated films, I think has become super popular. We got them everywhere. And I noticed that they do things because they can, and it's not for the better of the film. And one of those things I was noticing, this movie is super colorful from start to finish, and you get numb to the color, so that when they have a scene that's like supposed to be a big dramatic attention grabber scene, it falls flat for me compared to a real film, because a real film has to rely a lot more on the naturally occurring colors in a scene. So nature does a better job. So in a painting, I have to make sure I don't go too extreme too fast on colors, because then when I put a highlight like these rays in a still picture, I need this to all be grayer and darker if I want to add a colorful highlight, or else it won't look great. So I think, Ben, like in your industry, you can't just load every single scene with color, and that's what they do. They load every scene with color, and it loses its magic, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was just thinking about my job.
I took you there, didn't I?
It's Saturday morning, and here you are. You got me thinking about my 9 to 5 Monday, Friday.
Yeah, my bad. I didn't
But
didn't mean to take us to an unhappy place.
No, it's a happy place. It's just
It's
Saturday.
Cool. Yeah, right.
I spent hours yesterday trying to fix a boring edit.
Oh.
And it was boring for mysterious reasons. So I'm on a live call. I've got a client on the phone, and I've got an editor in front of me, like a
okay.
Okay. Like trying to edit this video, this like 3-minute little documentary video.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why is this edit so boring right here?" Right?
Why they're just asking the honest question.
They were like, "It loses my interest right here in this section."
Why? Can you fix it
out? Let me figure out why it's boring. Well, it was boring because it was the same thing constantly. It was just like just
too much of the same thing.
It was more talking. It was more the same part of the song. It was just over.
Just went too long on the same thing.
Yeah, and that's a really easy thing to do as a person, is to like find a thing that works and then just do only that and do it a lot and way too much of it.
Yeah. Okay.
But as it turns out, we're attracted to breathing in and breathing out. We're attracted to that was a fun sound.
I don't like it at all. It was ketchup.
Can you do that again? Here I am trying to say something relevant. Joe's over there making
that one right.
Noise.
What'd you say there, Ben?
So the philosophical approach to the question.
Oh, what a hijack! Sorry. Oh man. Okay. No, I want to hear it. I want to hear what. So you discovered it was boring because
the diversity is interesting. Blah blah blah. Something like that.
Derailed. Sorry. Well,
keep it with the fart noises. Those are better.
Yeah. Well, I think this is valuable because what I find worth remembering is how the intention to make awesomeness is there. That's what it's rooted in. It's like, let's just make the whole thing awesome. We have a computer. We have a graphic system that can do anything. So let's make a magical world loaded with color in every single scene. And that's, to me, Avatar, the movie Avatar, it was kind of a, that one I think was pushing the envelope of colorful, fantastical looking scenes.
Yeah.
And
I just heard that that guy's editing right now Avatar 3, and my first thought was, I don't even want to see it. Like,
it's an overload from the start to the end of the movie. You don't even have the capacity to appreciate, in my opinion,
Hey, you know what they do in sound mixing? Like, you're watching a movie and then someone lights a fuse, and the fuse burns down real nice and slow toward the big explodey bomb, right?
Yeah.
It's burning closer and closer and closer. And the soundscape, you hear this.
Yeah.
You hear like the rising tension of strings or whatever. It's
yeah.
Like,
yeah. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Rising. Well,
yeah.
Right before the explosion, you will always hear the sound suck out of the soundscape to almost complete silence, if not.
Oh, now that you mention it, I do feel like I can hear that now in my head. That sudden silence.
Before every explosion you've ever heard on television, you heard a millisecond of probably dead silence.
And it feels like the drop in a music mix too.
Yeah. You can't just go from building all this tension, and you build it. Say you've got like 0 to 100 to play with as far as like sound range. Well, if you get up to like 60, 70 with your tension building, and then you got a big explosion, well, you've only exploded from 70 to 100. But if you go, you build, and then suddenly the floor drops out and you dip down to 5. Well, now you can explode from 5 to 100.
Okay.
So this principle is relevant in what you're doing, because if you got all highlights, well, how's anything supposed to look bright next to a bunch of highlights?
Yeah.
You got a bunch
of
shadows,
it doesn't.
How's anything supposed to look dark next to a bunch of shadows? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Principle in perception, where if you smash the sensors of sound or sight, you just pile on a whole bunch of one thing, then you actually end up with,
you just keep loading up the awesomeness, and next thing you know, everything's equal, and there you've got a big bowl of nothing.
Flat. You got a big flat thing.
Yeah, totally. That's it. All right, we have to make this fin stand out here. So I thought that was good food for thought, because I was noticing it in film, not my own medium, and I was realizing because of that why I'm not super excited about the next animated film. I think someone could do a superb job if they just mastered that, visually, the art of not delivering until the right moment, just like you're describing, that sound absence in order to make
so I suppose the useful takeaway is, if your thing isn't hitting the way you want it to, if your picture isn't popping, if the emotion isn't landing like you'd like it to, consider that maybe it's not because you haven't turned it up enough. Maybe you need to surround it with the opposite.
Yeah, there you go. Well said. That's perfect. Because that's what I think, that's the parallel with color, is you got to surround it with the opposite, just like these awesome shapes on the orcas. It's really fun to look at that black and white contrast. If it was just rainbow colors everywhere, it would just be a rainbow. Rainbows aren't something.
It look like a Fish concert poster. It's just like, you see it all, but really your eyeballs just want to look away, because it's like
it's just a lot. Yeah, the first opening scene in a film like that is exciting. The opening scene is cool.
Yeah,
because you haven't been inundated yet.
Well, yeah, you've come from silence to that.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is a cool shape on the belly here, and I'm trying to do a good job with it. And I saw it kind of goes like this. It's like a 3-pronged deal, and then it goes to a triangle. Right there.
And round brush. Enjoy that sunshine out there in England. I know it never happens, so get you some.
Oh, okay, good. Nice. You got some good weather happening.
Camila likes that big bowl of nothing. That's a sticky piece of verbiage there.
All right, thanks.
And
good.
Then also, America Marcy is pretty excited about her country, so that's cool.
What country would that be?
I'll give you one guess with a name like America Marcy.
Oh, nice. Well, see, I have a friend, and her first name is America. It's not just a username.
That's right. Oh, maybe it is that in America, but probably not that America.
Yeah. Maybe that's her. Maybe this is her.
Maybe it is.
Okay.
Maybe it's her thing.
No, we had an artist come to Flagstaff here, and her name's America. She had a YouTube deal, America Paints America. It was kind of fun. Fun gimmick. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put a dorsal on this. So this is the concept in finishing a picture. Is I bring the edges closer and closer to each other. I talked about this in the last one. So we've got messy edges everywhere because I did orca, then water, then orca, then water. And the edges are kind of going like this. They're getting tighter, because I don't want to waste time putting a lot of energy. And you even talked about how your editing is like that, where one clip meets another clip. But you don't kill a bunch of time right at the beginning, because you might change those edges like I did with the tail. And so right now I'm at that I'm at that phase where I'm feeling more confident about my choice of edges. So we just have a little nub for a dorsal on this one because that one is behind and going back. Let's see. Maybe we go more this way. I don't know if I did a great job on the location. That dorsal. Yeah, that's okay. All right, now we're going to go over here. Work on this one. See, we've got the distant color. I've got it pre-mixed, right? Well, semi-pre-mixed. We go down here. It's much easier to have that blue. This is blue with purple in it because for some reason, when bluish colored light hits a neutral like white or black, it goes purple. You know, whenever blue light bounces off something in our world, you tell me why it is. I honestly don't know. But it's a cool thing to remember because you can get more natural looking shadows. See, all of these in here are a bit more purple, just a little. I just added a touch of purple, violet, whatever you want to call it. And then I have that distant look on the tail of my orcas. And then I just take my black and make a gradient. Gets more to the true black as it comes forward in the picture. Get more of that distant blue right there.
I sure do love that purple glow, man.
It's cool. Yeah.
We got good purple glow here in my area in Southern California. Like, you know, you're getting close to the water.
Okay.
That sort of purpley atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's there.
It's very recognizable. You know that.
Yeah.
Imagine this isn't the only place. You know, deserts around sunset too. They get that super lavender kind of a vibe.
Right. So here on the white belly, I'm going to bring that up and add blue to that. See, there's another neutral, and I'm going to add some blue. And see, it has that little bit of purple in it, and this has a more natural. See, this blue here that I've got down, here's some dark primary purple that I put in it. You know, it's a very dark primary color, but you can see if I smear it on a white spot of my little tray, you can see it's very, very kind of red violet. And so I added a little of that to my blue just to make my job easier when I come and add it to either the black or the white. See, we got lots and lots in there. Okay, we're going to do the jawline of this critter. It's going to go up, and then it's going to smile. It's got to smile a little bit, and then the middle has to frown. This is the shape. See, it's the frown, the smile, and the frown again. That's the shape.
The frown, the smile, the frown. The what?
Yeah. Dolphins, orcas, whales. It's a super common shape. And we're going to do the white patch. Kind of comes back here like that. And then the eye is going to be in the thin spot. See, I took some time to try to learn a little bit more about the shapes. The eye is going to be right in here. Right there in the thin spot.
So Camila's got a question for you.
Yeah, shoot.
So they think it's hard according to colors. The color furthest away, the one furthest away, of course, has the dimmer color, but does the tail of the one closer not also have dimmer color because it is closer to the surface? So it sounds like they're trying to understand why you've selected the colors of tails. So.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. So, well, I think that's a good observation.
Atmospheric kind of colors on these tails.
Yeah. Well, never assume that I have precisely calculated the right color. You know, I think you brought up something that
never assume, Joe. No,
never assume. I just don't want you to give me too much credit for like calculating these things a lot. There's a lot of
root of the number of pigment
we're gonna do
in the viscosity of your paint product.
Yeah, I wonder if you could really pull off a bogus video like that. You know, try to pretend like you.
Imagine that kind of art video. You turn on an art video and a guy pulls up a calculator and starts talking.
This is how we're going to perfect the. picture.
Today we will ruin the joy of painting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Buckle up.
I think I've actually made videos that were a bit too much in that way. I was real excited about the math that describes perspective, and I got real excited about it, and I think I chased away some views.
Yeah, well, chase away Camila if you could. So why did you choose those colors?
Well, I was doing a quick job, just kind of using the same thing on all the. I was just thinking distance, atmosphere, adding atmosphere to make it look further away. But this is a great observation. This one will look better if it's lighter because the atmosphere up here is indeed lighter. So using what she just intuitively noticed, I'm gonna course correct and get a better look out of that. So we'll put my purple colors, but we're going to lighten this one more than the rest. And that will make this whole lit up area, this glow with the rays. I want to say it before I do it because I think the understanding is valuable. It'll bring all of that forward in front of as well as behind. If I can do a good job with the atmosphere, it'll cause this to look like a three-dimensional glow rather than just a backdrop. So the colors can look nice, but you can still miss the 3D aspect of it. And so the concept of atmosphere, that's your powerful tool to create that 3D atmosphere, 3D environment.
You ever had to paint? So Joe, he didn't always paint pretty pictures of orcas. There was a time when he used to paint curves in closets and houses. Susan's got a house out there to paint, but it's raining in Scotland.
Ah, okay.
You ever had to paint a house in the rain? Can you paint a house in the rain?
I don't recommend it. I think that paint has not been invented yet that can go on in wet weather, but an oil base will be much more resistant to that rain if you can bear the chemicals. Man, that's a tough situation.
By bear the chemicals, what do we mean?
Well, they have an obnoxious smell, and it really takes your energy out by the end of a day of working with it. It's just, you're like, why do I feel so unmotivated? It's because,
why do I feel so high?
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as a high. It's a real downer. It's like a oil-based paint has this. At least to me, oil-based paint has this very unhappy effect. I wouldn't describe it as a good high. Okay, I'm trying to get this just purple enough, just light enough. Look what you derailed my process here, Camilla.
We got him thinking about the colors now. Now he's all.
I was feeling like a rock star, throwing my picture together, and she's, well, what about that? And I'm like, yes, that's true. You're right. I'm just teasing. It's a great thing that you noticed. This is a valuable.
Well, so Camila is trying to figure out.
Okay, we're going like
does the color of the tail change because it's closer to the surface of the water?
Yes. So I just use this gradient as the color of the atmosphere. The color of the atmosphere here is very light. Color of the atmosphere here is darker. Here is darker. So I'm trying to add the atmosphere that is just, at that height, because that's going to make this glow look like it's enveloping the whole scene. And I want that.
Enveloping glow.
Yeah, I want a 3D glow. I don't want just a background glow. So yeah, I've got this tail kind of bending down.
Paints, man. A lot of people don't like oil-based paints out there.
Yeah,
Gina makes Gina sick.
Right. Yeah.
And Susan will use oils, but this time, no.
It's not great. It's not a great experience. Yeah. Trying to get just the right shade for a distant white that's facing down. So there's some trial and error with this one. I want the bottom to be white, the top to be black. It's got to be just dark enough to look like it's facing down. So I'm darkening it a bit. We'll see if that does the trick. That'll darken a bit as it dries. I want that to be, and then I think this one's got to go back a little. We're going to take this shape and move that back.
A way for Camila to think about this is like, it was like a globe. We talked last week about like how you're kind of in your own sphere, and you know there's a radius from you to whatever you're looking at.
Yeah.
And so the further out on that radius line, the more atmospheric things get, whether you're looking at like the tail that's in the back, or if you're looking up at the tail that's the surface. Joe's established here that you're looking up as well as out, and so up and out are both going to get more atmospheric as they go further away. It's not maybe not necessarily just because it's close to the surface. That's a happy little glow opportunity, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about the distance.
Yeah. Distance. Well, you know, I think just imagining, like, instead of, we don't need to make rules more complicated than they need to be. You know, that is a self-validating statement. I just realized it. We don't need to make rules more complicated than they need to be.
You know, self-validating is great. The more you can self-validate, the better, I think. You know, like,
we don't need the things we don't need. That's what I'm saying.
How much time in life have we spent seeking validation? You know,
too much.
Self-validate.
I do it every day. I don't like to admit it, but it's kind of.
Why does it matter so much that someone else recognizes and acknowledges something?
I know.
Just recognize it and acknowledge it yourself. You're just another person.
Yeah. Oh, I lost you. We lost you. Let's see if our internet's good. We lost you for a moment there, Ben. Lost the audio.
Back in the saddle again.
Nice.
Anyways, self-validate, man.
Yeah. Well, you know, you can over self-validate, and then, you know, you build yourself this world that nobody else sees. And you're like saying, I am the greatest. And people are saying, okay. I'm the best singer you've ever heard. And people are kind of afraid to shoot it down because your world's wrapped around it. You know, that's not the life for me. That's not what I'm after. Yeah, but there is a time. There is a time to say it.
No self-validating for Joe.
maybe just I'll just think about how much. Yeah, maybe just some. All right. I think I'm getting somewhere with this. You know, I don't need to slave over this for a long time. It's not like a painting I'm going to keep forever. This is all just practice.
No, man. There are no slaves in here. Set yourself free, man.
There's this shape. I'm trying to do this shape on the back of this one in perspective. It's a fun exercise to try to produce in perspective the shape that you understand without having the model. I consider that a fun exercise.
Joe, let's talk about perspective.
Okay, let's talk about it.
We got some interesting perspective. Corey says your videos on perspective really helped improve their art.
Hey, sweet. So, I'm happy to hear that.
Also, Odium Imbues says they put all their self-validating in. I put all my self-validating in my enjoyment, and nothing can shoot it down.
Yeah. All right. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, enjoyment is a great reason. Yeah, I think that's cool.
So perspective. How's that working out in this right now? You got some serious perspective.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Well, there's an element of trusting the system. You know, people are conditioned, I'll just say conditioned, to put a lot of data together. You know, when you look at a flat image, whatever part of your mind, I'm no expert on these things, but what we have to admit is that you, at some level, you're putting the information together to understand the three-dimensional scene. Because we don't show a photograph of orcas to 100 people and get 100 different interpretations of what the photo is. We have this really reliable, I'll just call it software, but you know, it's putting together the data and giving your viewer the message. And so manipulating perspective is tapping into that existing system. It's saying I'm gonna do X, Y, Z, and when I'm done with that, I should have my outcome. But it comes from really taking time to understand the expectations of a viewer. So when I'm working on a distant tail of an orca, I have this understanding that very tiny changes on my canvas can be very big perceived changes of depth. And I'm treating it like it matters. Every little stroke, I'm just treating the size of that like it really matters. For example, I don't like how tall my white space is on my canvas showing the underside of this tail, because I think it represents a tail that is flipped down too much or too long. We're seeing too much of it. But the adjustment is going to be so tiny. And I do the whole picture with a great confidence, you know, like faith in that working system, that it's going to continue to work. So that at the beginning of a picture, when things just don't look very good, I am not losing motivation because I'm just understanding it's not there yet. But I'm using the system that I know is the reason we can perceive, and I'm going to rely on that to do its job. So then I shrink it a little bit, and I'm feeling happier about that. I'm going to put just the littlest, I'm just going to put the tiniest little slice, you know, a little detail like this right here to represent where the tail is split at the bottom.
Yeah, and there's a real gracefulness to this, Gina notices that she likes.
Okay, sweet. I'm glad to hear that. Well, there's an exponential change that you get real. I think it's intuitive, you know, like after you do it a lot of times, you don't want to overthink it. It's really something that you feel, kind of like knowing where dials are, but you don't have a guide on exactly where to set the dials. So when I'm doing a simple scene and I want to make a road or a river swirling into the background, you know, this shape that has real tight squiggles here, I'm not doing some formula to understand how much this should turn. I'm saying here, I'm imagining my three-dimensional river. What I know is that these shapes need to be a lot taller and more stretched vertically than these shapes. But I don't have an exact layout of how much. So then knowing that pattern, I adjust, like, okay, this feels like maybe we need a bit more scrunched like that. We're going to scrunch that one a little more. And then we're going to unscrunch this one a little more like this. There we go. Now I feel better about that perspective for my zigzagging river. I'm going to do the same thing right here. Go over like this, go over like this. Well, I don't see that. That kind of hits me the wrong way. I don't like the way that one goes. So it's this combination of feeling and knowing, both of them working together, so that you're not just, it's frustrating to have to guess your way through a picture. You know what I mean? What do you think? What do you think, Ben? Do I got you online? Did we lose you? Oh, Ben's on us. We got a break. Ben's taking a break.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, totally. Okay, so I wanted you to see the adjusting process because I don't have a math formula that says do the perspective like this, but I do have an understanding that perspective is mathematical. And so there's this.
Yeah, well, what's nice here, Joe, is that you are attempting, and this is what you're finding valuable here, you're attempting to demystify intuition. So what appears
that's a good way to say that.
What appears to just be intuition is actually a conclusion you're arriving at. based on knowable things.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm turning the, I'm feeling my way. Like I thought this one looked too stubby. So I adjusted, I lengthened the tail. I used a general perspective that was my first instinct, but it wasn't on the money, so I adjusted it and brought that out. But I always have my next stopping point in mind. Like, okay, that one looks a little too stubby, but it's not a mystery what I'm going to do to adjust that. And I think that's where art gets real frustrating, is when it's a total mystery what you're going to do to adjust it. I have this also, like if I know that I want something to feel close to me, let's put a butterfly in the sky. Remember that one? Okay.
Take a look.
It's in a. Okay, here's my butterfly, and I'm going to make the closest part of the wings really huge, the furthest part of the wings really scrunchy, like this. Like this. Yeah, we're really shrinking them down, because this is going to be a huge monster butterfly in my picture. Or another way to think of this huge monster butterfly is very close. Same perspective, whether it's very close to your point of view, or if it's just a very huge thing. It's the distance differences. It's the comparison of the furthest point of your object to the closest point of your object. So we have a huge thing could be like this, or it could be, or it could just be very close to your eye, and the perspective would be the same. And then we just use like atmosphere and other elements of the picture to suggest it. So here's dramatic, really, like we're close up, we're in the scene. It's real huge in the front, real tiny in the back. Well, the more I flip that to be more equal, the more it looks like that thing is, we're viewing it from further away, perhaps, or it's just a smaller thing. It could be either. So let's draw our butterfly now, like this. And we're going to go like this, and we're going to make the backside. I still want the perspective, but what I'm doing is making the backside of it more equal. It's not as extremely changed, so that now it doesn't have the extreme closeness. This might be, I'm not as good at making a butterfly as I am at maybe like an orca. An orca. Let's just do an orca. So here's an orca, real dramatic. We're going to do a tiny little tail. We'll do a position like I just did to model it. And we're going to put a little tail in the back like this. We're going to put a dorsal right there. We're going to put fins right there. And we're going to go just a little stub. So two-dimensionally, this is kind of a funny shape, because it's just like this little, the orcas have big, long, graceful tails, and I just use this tiny shape. But when I put my colors in the picture, I'm going to use those, my colors and shapes, to say that's going back, back, back. So the colors and the gradients and the strokes, they do this kind of a thing that lines are going to do to this picture. So we'll go real close together. We go further apart, further apart. See how that instantly creates a back perspective. So my gradients and colors do that same effect.
We now have a swimming potato.
Frown. Smile, frown,
smiling, swimming potato.
Right there. Yeah, we're gonna put the nose. We're gonna adjust.
Now it's
adjust the shape. Yeah, now it's. We'll give it a little bit of a snout.
Whale-sized potato.
There we go. See, now we've got our dramatic perspective. Let's do the little shape right there, and we're going to shape right here. There we go.
Yeah, Tyler, okay. Thanks for jumping in. Yes, that is correct. Joe uses just wall paint, cheaper the better. And then his canvases are whatever. Sometimes wood, sometimes plywood, sometimes canvas. Sometimes his kid's bedroom wall.
Yeah, sometimes that's it. So if I make these
reps, it's about reps, not quality materials. Reps.
I noticed that on the note of paints, I do like cheap. I start with cheap, But when I experience an absence of quality, then I bump it up. But my default is definitely cheap, because in my work, I really enjoy relating to the low income class and figuring out accessible ways of doing art. That's something that I really enjoy. So I don't want to default to the less accessible. And
well, that's nice too, because I would say it's the people that can afford to do art the least that probably have the most interesting art to do.
Perhaps, that's well said.
Like, just a life of everything being easier is going to be a less inspiring one.
Yeah, right. There's the life lesson.
So that's nice.
Never said it would be easy, son.
Yeah. So that's nice. Yeah. It's accessible. No reason not to paint.
Yeah, I like the accessibility of cheap paint, but I do experience bad characteristics in some cheap paints. So when I'm losing coverage, when you pay more for paint, it tends, I'm not going to say it does, I'm going to say it tends to last longer under UV light. So when you have it outside, cheap paint tends to fade faster, because it doesn't have the more expensive ingredients that resists the sun damage. And then it tends to be less dense. So your coverage is not as, it's really nice with the tube of acrylics. It's real concentrated pigment, and you just put it on and your color covers the canvas. But cheap paint, it can be frustrating when you need multiple coats. So that's when I start looking for a more expensive option, is when I really need those qualities and I'm not getting them. All right. Why don't we put something else in our scene? We're making good progress on the orcas. I think they're shaping up. What do you think, Ben? Is it looking better than when I started from your end?
Oh, yeah, dude. You got
getting the edges.
I've kind of learned that a lot of the work to be done when you're making images, when you're trying to make like interesting images, if you endeavor to make an interesting image, you're going to run into this sense of problem. You're working with a two-dimensional surface, trying to create a three-dimensional world.
That's it. Yeah, that's back to perspective again. Yeah, you're trying to go ahead, finish.
And so everything you do, the more it contributes to establishing a third dimension, depth. Anything you can do to establish depth.
It's storytelling. It's like storytelling. You're trying to say, here's what's going on with the 3D scene.
Yeah, call it the emotion of the story, I guess. The width and the height you can call, that's just what happens and where it happens. But, with no depth, and a story is two-dimensional. It's not as
right.
It doesn't feel as intriguing. It's just like the picture here is going to not feel as intriguing if it's only width and height and you didn't do any work to establish depth. So this talk of shape and color and adjusting things to make things come forward, or backwards, or separation, or perspective, or movement, all this is trying to push against the natural absence of depth in your medium, your two-dimensional space.
Yeah,
same thing goes for images in camera. It's the same problem. There's a handful of tricks you do, and it's all towards creating depth.
Yeah. I feel like my mind wants to see a 3D interpretation. I feel like it's trying to see the 3D.
Well, yeah, because you have two eyeballs on the front of your head and they're spread apart. And so anything you look at is going to be a triangulation between eyeball, and object. And
yeah, it's like what they're made.
You have two reference points now that you can calculate depth with.
Yeah.
Because you see one object from two reference points, you measure them against each other, You know, how does an object move when my head moves side to side? Well, now you understand how far away an object is. That's the normal state of being. A two-dimensional state of being feels really weird. You can do this on yourself, actually. If you just close one eye.
Oh, yeah.
Just go through life for a while with just one eye.
Yeah, which there are, you know, a lot of people.
60 seconds. Do it for 5 minutes, right?
Right. That is a thing people have to do.
You'll be really weird and clumsy, and you'll run into a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because
until you calibrate.
Depth is gone. Until you figure out other ways to perceive depth. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, because there is a difference.
Et cetera, but,
yeah.
We're not used to it. That's why I think we're attracted to it, because it feels more engaging and real.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah, that's good.
So that's the thing. But we're over here talking about paint mediums still in the room. So let's talk about paint mediums.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's talk about it.
Odium and Buse says the only thing that they dislike about acrylics sometimes is sometimes they want deep colors and they don't get it with acrylics. They enjoy painting and it's nice to paint nice.
Yeah.
But then my inner self wants the same image better.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason for that. I think that acrylics are capable of producing the same vivid, saturated colors, but we just have to understand their behavior to like overcompensate a little bit. So it's important to work dark. Working dark, you know, that you set up your lighting to work, and I've got lights in this room. It's illuminating my picture. The brighter those lights are, the darker I'm going to intuitively, just instinctively paint, because the colors are all appearing brighter. So I'm going to feel confident going darker. I don't know if I said that. I feel like maybe I said that wrong the first time, but I'm going to instinctively paint with darker colors because my lighting's nice and bright. But then you get in normal lighting of a house or something, it's not that bright, and you start calibrating your colors. Well, adding white to a color naturally desaturates it. White is a neutral. It doesn't add color. So I don't know why that's more extreme with acrylics, but it does seem to be more extreme. And it seems that the structure or the texture of oil allows light to go deeper into the paint itself and bounce out with saturated color. So I think with just the importance of working very dark is the key. You know, understanding the importance of that. Perhaps, you know, I totally relate, because when I'm doing an oil painting, I find myself trying to lighten something with white, and it never gets lighter. It naturally is a dark, saturated color painting. It naturally seems to go that way.
Yeah. Odium is saying that when they paint under a yellow lighted room and then take that painting to natural light, it tends to lack yellow.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have said it better. That's totally what would be the expected result, because you're calibrating according to your lighting. So it can be a wise move to choose your lighting very intentionally.
Luca, do tell, what is a gray state?
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Luca is in a gray state when they watch you paint.
Oh, okay. Wow, what is that?
Sound bad. I might be in a gray state with this cup of coffee and this morning here in my wildland tent.
Yeah, totally. Okay, we're gonna do the white tail on this one. It goes like this. Man, I don't know why that's the noise. There's just certain noises.
Anything that goes out and then bends a little bit definitely goes more. That's a word shape.
I don't know why it makes that noise, but it does. I'm sorry. That's the noise that the
you
shave
a hockey
makes.
stick goes out. The end. Work.
Man,
you got a wick that comes up out of a candle, but then slumps over a little bit.
What I wonder, we could have some fun going down this road, you know, like the intuition that just makes a sound effect associated with a visual. Yeah. I wonder if you showed.
Disagreeable? Can anybody say no? That's not the sound. It goes out and bends a little bit. It's not.
You did that one wrong.
It's this sound. Zing.
But I think to one person it would be.
But it's not. You know. It's not. It is objectively not that sound.
Right, it'd be wrong. Like if you did that in a movie set, they'd be like, we got to get a different sound guy.
No.
That's not the one. Sorry.
Time out.
Yeah, I mean, you'd lose your job as the sound effects engineer.
Zing is like if you take like a top and you just spin a top and throw it out across the table while it's spinning. That's zing.
Yeah.
There is a strange connection between sound effects and actions. What is going on there?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I if I just embrace it, I enjoy my work longer. I'm like in the mode and I'm making the sounds and I'm in that world. They go hand in hand for sure.
Yeah, like if you see Baloo the bear walking through the forest,
you think
to yourself, oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Everything's going my way.
Light notes on a piano. Exactly. It's the tuba. Yeah. Man. So there is a thing, there is a science to that I don't understand, but I embrace it. All right. We're going to make a splash coming down. This is something I think is fun to do. Now that we got our orcas swimming down with a little bit better edges, they still could use some work.
That water looks so real. They love the light poking through.
All right, sweet. Thank you.
Like, man, some wave reflection would look really cool on their backs.
Oh, man, I forgot. I wasn't even going to put that in. I totally forgot about it. Thank you. Thank you for...
Tyler's talking about acrylics. They start with underpainting the scene using the various tones of color they're going to use. So,
okay,
basically like a first layer of roughing it.
Yeah. That's good. I feel like I do an underpainting also when I hit it with just primaries. Okay, nice. There are more traditional methods of doing an underpainting that are done with monotone, like just a very limited color. So I would say where I break away from the more traditional route is going full color on the underpainting. For whatever that's worth.
Don't go full color, man.
No, I do go full color. I like going full color on the
full color.
It's against tradition. The underpainting is like just a value study.
JK, hey, so Susan is wondering. Here's an important question, Joe. Let's
hear
ourselves out of bed. We made ourselves coffee. We got ourselves into the studio. Let's cover something useful here.
Let's do it.
They don't know how you can keep focusing while you chat. They lose focus when they're talking.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
That is muscle memory. There are, when I get to the more difficult tasks, I start to get bogged down. On a computer, there's a thing called the call stack. And when you ask a computer to do something, some part of the program, it's programmed with functions, and those functions are called with a certain line of code, and the call stack is how long that list of commands is getting as the computer is trying to execute. And I feel like that happens.
I already am lost and I don't care. Call stack.
Oh, okay.
What?
Well, I was using it as my bad. I thought it was like relatable terminology. Maybe there's a computer nerd out there that'll be like,
You're too smart, man. You need to explain like I'm 5. Explain like I'm 5.
Yeah. No, the multitasking just gets too great. That's it. The call stack too long, it means multitasking just got too great. And
so I get it.
You know, when I do more complex things, but see, this is stuff that I've done a million times, and I've seen the success to confidently know where I'm going, what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah, maybe here's a simpler answer for you, Susan. I'll take a stab at it. How Joe's able to just jibber jabber while painting something. It is prioritizing what he cares about. So we're pretty good at like paying attention to a thing, but not so good at paying attention to a lot of things at the same time. So Joe cares a lot about his painting. He does not care a lot about whatever I'm saying.
That's pretty well said. That's good.
He's pretty effective at just focusing on what matters and tuning out what doesn't.
That's why I always did it in church.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's very easy to get into flow. Getting into flow is super easy. It's like rolling down the hill on a skateboard. You just give it a little nudge and off you go in a state of flow. And to prove this point that it's really just about what Joe cares about more.
Yeah.
I can very easily derail Joe. I can say things that all of a sudden make it impossible for him to paint.
Oh, he'll trigger. Find something I care about is what you'll do.
Exactly.
Yeah, derail it.
Cares about equally right now as much as like, Oh, and by the way, Tom Heaney, he totally gets your call stack comments. So
nice. Thanks for validating it. Yeah, Ben's making me feel all bad here. Like, dude, you just went to a different planet.
Dick move.
Come on.
Gosh, he's in the middle of an eloquent, well-described synonym?
No, you're looking for an analogy.
Analogy.
Yeah, that's it.
Call stack analogy.
I think it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary to bring computer code into the discussion. It's just where my mind went.
Joe cares about call stacks. Let the man talk about call stacks.
That's it. That's your point. That's your point.
Right? So I'm saying he cares about call stacks. All of a sudden he's talking about call stacks.
Well, we're walking and talking. You know what I mean? When I'm doing stuff I've done a million times, it's walking and talking. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's only because I've done it a million times.
It may be. What's funny is I do this too when I'm working. Like when I'm in flow, I talk so much. I just like
okay.
Like my mouth keeps moving in order to like keep the ball rolling, in order to keep the flow flowing. I'll like just talk about whatever. Talk about ABBA.
Talk about ABBA. Yeah, that's it.
Whatever. You got to respect the flow, man.
It's the flow. But you're completely right that there's things that'll derail me because it is multitasking, but it's pleasant multitasking when it's all muscle memory. But then when you get into something where it's like, wait a minute, there's new information to process here. Let me think. And that's when I like stop painting and I flip the camera. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
That's when you derail.
It's really provocative, questionable in its validity, and borderline insulting. Let me just stop everything I'm doing and address that.
Yeah, exactly. So here I'm making just a bunch of little reflective bubbles in case that was in question. I'm going to put dark. Yeah. I'm going to put dark spots. These are just going to be little bubbles. The idea is that they're more round. I'm kind of getting some shape to them that I don't love. Let's try to use heavier paint will give me smoother, rounder edges. So I'm going down here with my dark colors, and then to turn these into bubbles that are coming down from the main. These are going to be closer. That's why I'm using the darker color. They're reflecting the dark surroundings of the atmosphere. So then I need to also make them reflect the bright overhead, because here's the cool thing. An air bubble underwater reflects like a mirror. It's light on top, dark on just the expected direction light. But a water drop that is in the air, you know, when I'm doing like a splash of water in the air, it reverses it. I do the light I do whatever's above on the bottom, because we're looking at light coming through the water. That tends to show up more than the surface reflection. So it's the reversal. It's kind of fun. So when I'm doing the underwater reflections of air bubbles, I do the top to top, bottom to bottom.
This is an interesting
concept.
Let's get close.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right, I should do that. Okay, so when I want bubbles underwater, I want top to top, bottom to bottom. So reflecting top of environment, reflecting on top of bubble. It's not reversing anything. But then when I go out of the water, that's when.
That's it. You got it.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows.
You know I'm right. Yeah, I mean, you can't even argue.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
You can't. Yeah, shapes make sounds. So all I do is just toss the colors on there, and it's like instant bubble. Boom, we got it. And we can make them
I think that the details of your bubbles are interesting, like what should go where, what shape reflects on which side, based on whether it's an airborne water bead or an underwater air bubble inverse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's all interesting, but the more valuable thing is just getting in the ballpark of what colors go about where, because just by knowing that you have like the highlight on the top and bottom. That does enough. That tells your brain all you need.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, you don't got to get in there with your detail thing and be like, and here's the reflection.
No. General location.
Skin cell. Here's the plankton that's 500 yards away, reflecting.
Right. Yeah, you're killing me. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So these are kind of dark. You know, those bubbles are real dark. They need
Hey, Odium imbues. Guess what? We do these almost every week, my man.
Almost, yeah. We try.
They say that you should do these more consistently, Joe. These live streams.
Well, here's the thing. I do want to do that. I'm gonna do it, but YouTube's not on my side with the live streams. You know, they what YouTube wants to happen is a lot of rapid engagement with many videos. So the YouTube shorts get majorly prioritized. So I just put up a YouTube short as an experiment this week. And of course it's got like 3,000 views, you know, where I'll release this live and it'll have a few hundred. And so that's a frustrating thing when you're making content. You're like, so my point is, tell your friends about it, spread the word. Let's get a crowd that makes it even more fun to produce this content. Yeah, because YouTube doesn't want to promote it.
Are we talking about the behavior of YouTube, or are we talking about the behavior of audiences?
No, it's YouTube algorithms. Their algorithms are based on the behavior of audiences, but
because would YouTube pursue a direction that their audience hasn't already gone? You know.
Right.
It's just something to chew on. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not. So there's no
chicken and egg.
Chicken and egg. Well, it's not. You know, it's not for the purpose of saying anybody's doing something wrong or there's blame, but it's just that the live streams don't get a huge priority in display. Like saying, check out this live stream, you might like it. What gets the priority in your feed are YouTube shorts. You know, that's kind of the first priority.
Yeah. Well, also, you know, Odium's saying the more view length, the more YouTube recommends. So longer form stuff is valuable if people are in fact watching it.
Yeah. So maybe it just takes time to build up that consistent crowd that's like, yeah, let's do this thing. You know, maybe we just haven't gotten there just yet. But you know, you all that keep coming back, I can't even tell you how exciting that is for me. I really look forward to these Saturday mornings. It's very fun.
That's
true. There we go.
It is.
See, we got some reflection coming down there, like they just splashed out of the water or something. You know what else would
awesome?
be cool?
Bubblage.
You know what I think? What if we did like a sinking? How are we doing on time right now?
We got about 10 minutes.
10 minutes. You know what I think it'd be fun in this picture?
What would be fun in this picture?
A lot of stuff would be fun in it. You know, a lot of stuff. But we could get some special effect lighting, you know, if we're like trying to make a movie.
Do some reflection on them bodies.
I'm gonna make some kind of a ship just sinking here, and we'll make it have like a real like mega industrial vibe. What was the word someone used? Dystopian kind of vibe. The ship, because then we won't feel sad about it sinking. Is why we're not gonna make like someone's little fishing boat sinking.
Great storytelling.
We're gonna make something that looks like a sinking futuristic city back there, and we're gonna do this because the contrast I think will be fun. I'm gonna put fire and smoke coming out of that water. What do you think?
I think
let's do that.
You give Joe
let's
10
see
minutes, but he only needs one.
Okay, we're gonna do this. I've never done this. I want to see how it goes. Okay, we're gonna put some intense color in there like this. We'll just dab it in. I got to leave it heavy. We lost you there.
Washington State.
Let's say that again because your audio cut out.
Tim says that he's found himself with orcas in Northwest Washington State, Hero Strait, in the middle of a 5-member pod.
What? You've actually done that, dude? That's like a bucket list item for most people to actually encounter these.
I don't know if I would be.
Okay, I shouldn't have said most people. We got some internet cutting out there. I don't know if my internet's struggling or yours, but we got a lot of audio cutting out on you, Ben.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Talking about how scary orcas are in numbers.
Yeah, right. Because I'm here saying, "Oh yeah, everybody wants to do that," and people are like, "Oh, no, I don't really want to."
Everybody wants to play with fire. Nobody wants to be burned. You know.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I got to do. I need to make that look like it's underwater, and I got to put smoke on it. So I'm going to take purple. Because purple's not going to turn green when it hits that yellow. And I'm going to put clouds, purple, and then I'll get my underwater color. This is my light turquoise. I grabbed this one right here. I'm going to use this on the purple to suggest reflection because we got gas coming up where this fire's burning, you know. And so we're going to put reflection of the dark water, reflection of the light. We're going to just use like a lighter purple color around the perimeters of my glowing flames. And do that. And we'll get nice and dark together.
Leave it to Joe to take some nice, beautiful blue water with this nice purpley atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's been very well attended to, light rays established, shapes established.
And well, we've been there and done that.
A bunch of yellow and orange and red all over the place.
Sorry, I mean, we already did it. We did the pretty thing, you know. But I think the colors are awesome in it like fire.
It got boring.
What are you gonna do? Yeah, sorry, it's not my fault. It's nature. I'm putting my purple explosion clouds around this fire. Just put a little bit of lighter color wherever it kind of goes upward. Put little bits of the lighter color. It's got to stay dark because it's dark smoke. These bubbles are filled with darkness. Darkness.
Dark.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna do the gradient.
What happens is we spent two full sessions making pretty and graceful, and Joe got bored. So now, dark.
Yeah. Well, we're not doing anything too dark. It's like maybe they took down the bad guy. Maybe this is the bad guy sinking right here, and we're just putting it back there, putting it in the background. And I need to keep working on getting the. I keep adding that atmosphere color. Keep adding that. Ben Franklin Cornelius outside. Mural Joe join. I'm looking at my computer at the moment because we got a slow stream going.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can hear me, maybe you can't.
I can hear you at the moment. I'm gonna see if I've got something not plugged in.
All right. You just go ahead and finish painting here.
Yeah, because we only had like 10 minutes. We're done. I just thought this would be a fun thing to throw in there. So now I'm just gonna.
I'm gonna get a cup of coffee.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna put reflection of the surface on this, but I'm keeping the colors darker so that it looks smoky. But I can't go too dark because I want distance. Want the distance there. So we'll treat this like a bubble that's filled with fire and smoke. So the way I handle this is I do my reflection colors around the edges and then a gradient to my fire colors in the middle of any point that I want to bring out that explosion look. So I'm trying to make clouds here. We're trying to make clouds of reflection of these colors. So here I can make a more 3D cloud with just these edges. There's those sound effects again. See, and that's like the cloud surrounding this fire going up. That edge has got the reflection of the underwater. Then as it gets down here, we get the dark.
Let's talk about your brush type. We got a couple of questions about it. What do you got in your hand there?
Yeah, right here. Look at the shape of it. Let me put it there. Get it close to the camera. Right there. This brush, I'm very particular about maintaining the shape on my brush. So I keep a rag handy so that I can do this like a chisel. This is the way I rinse it every time. And when I no longer get this blade-like edge on it, I move to a different brush. Well, this is for general painting. I switch to other shapes when I need a special effect. If I want to get something flared out for trees.
Are we calling this a bristle or a Taklon?
This is like Taklon. It's a synthetic bristle, and I believe you would call this a shader, an angled shader. I think that would be, if you wanted to search for it online to get one or look in a art store. I think that's the term. An angled flat shader, maybe it could be called, but it's real common. And I didn't see a lot of people using them when I was learning to paint, but for all I know, in the last 15 years, I've been putting up YouTube videos. Perhaps they've gone up in sales because I've just used it the whole time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, let's see if you can get this one where you want it in 5 minutes now.
Yeah. Well, really, this is it. I'm just throwing in this little extra thing, just something
a little
fun.
Extra thing.
Yeah, it's just something fun.
No big deal. Why not?
Yeah, it's just a fun little bonus thing at the end.
And also, arrival is not really in the cards. It's not. I wouldn't prioritize ever getting anywhere in life in general. Getting places is not really going to be guaranteed. I drove from Arizona. I drove from California to Arizona, and Arizona to California. This is like a 10-hour voyage across all this desert, these towns.
Yeah.
You got to eat, you got to stretch, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought to myself, if I just think, gosh, I got to get there, I got to get there, I got to get there,
yeah.
I got to get there, that robs me of 2 full days of my life.
Right? Yeah, right.
I've just not lived 2 days. I've wanted to zonk out, or I've wanted to space out, or I was just angry about spending that time. How much better if I just say, I'm going to the desert today. I'm going out into the road. I'm going that way. And then you're doing it the whole time. Engage with your life the whole time. Engage with your painting the whole time. Don't be so obsessed with what it ought to be before it's good enough. Just vibe with the flow.
Vibe, yeah.
You want to do a little weird colory thing popping out of the eyeball of one of your orca whales and call it a boat? You go right ahead and do that.
Yeah, agreed. One of the best things I ever did in my journey as an artist is let go of trying to be as good as the next person. I really was very restricted by needing an end result that was good enough, as good as the next person. Yeah, I was really burdened by that, and so I had shame in producing something that wasn't up to what I thought was par at any given moment, and that was a lot, because so what allowed me to put in the thousands of hours to get to a level of freedom to just create what I wanted to create was letting go of that need, really just letting it go,
Yeah.
Like,
hey, so we're gonna just quickly hit a couple of these comments here.
Okay.
Number one, Joe, rapid fire. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
All right, number one. Susan says when they start into a painting or drawing, they don't want to stop, but they have to because of housework. Does your wife just let you do what you want to do when you want to do it, or do you get interrupted?
Oh, I have a studio. I definitely have responsibilities at home that I can't do art at home. That's very hard. That's very hard to do. The art that I can do at home is drawing pictures with my 10-year-old or with whoever wants to join, or my wife will organize paint nights sometimes. Her friends will come over, we'll go through painting. So it just has to be a all in activity, because if I try to get in my art mode, the distractions are pretty heavy. That's
what we said. Joe is just focusing on what he cares about more. If he's at home, he cares about a lot of that, so hard to paint.
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
that's hard.
Joe, have you ever done a video about working in oils? Yes, he has. He has done one, actually, painting waves using oils.
Yeah, I remember doing that. I don't love the way that one came out. We did.
Okay, Joe doesn't recommend it, so don't watch it. But
don't watch that one. But I did do it.
You ever painted anything else in oil? You ever done any other oil stuff?
Oh yeah. I've got that. I got that oil painting on the wall. It's just not very many. But look, I'm gonna
like a video about oil painting.
That's a good question. Did I do videos on oil painting? That's an oil painting right there. You might have seen that. I know it's kind of dark because the exposure of the camera, but you might have seen that on earlier videos if you've watched a lot of the ones I posted. I do it from time to time. It's just that it's slow, so I don't have a lot of joy in doing that. Yeah, so I don't do it very often. And when I did, it would be worthwhile doing some oil. I think I have a few live streams out there where I did oil too. I grabbed up a palette knife and was doing like a beach scene with oil paint in my house.
Yeah,
that was around 2020, something like that.
All right, next up. Gina likes your brain because it's different than hers. You got spontaneous thoughts that come to life. That's cool. So here's to creativity and puking brain stuff onto a canvas. Susan says PBS cost about $30,000 to get a series on TV. We got some intel and film production.
Okay.
So you're saying show on TV. It'd be great if you were on, but you need investors. Yeah, Joe and PBS would be like peas and carrots.
Let's start the GoFundMe. Let's
get that going. Susan, you want to produce that show? Give me a ring.
Yeah.
America Marcy says they got the tools, but they need Joe for inspiration.
Ah, nice. I like that. Thank you. What a privilege. I love being the inspiration.
He's talking about we got debris floating on the surface. Maybe that might.
Nice. That'd be cool. I like that idea.
For another day.
Yeah.
And then Epitome Hawk just showed up and is like, what am I seeing? A fire-breathing orca? What the? Okay.
we got a craft sinking in the background.
Yeah.
Let's put it behind. If we bring this down behind, it'll make more sense. We're making a giant ship.
We started an hour earlier than usual, guys, because
we got to go. Ben's got to get out. He's got to just
change is exciting, you know.
Yeah.
Daggett says these live streams are my zen.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Happy little orcas, Tom says, and oils are so much fun. Wolfpack Studios says. Wait, Wolfpack Studios - Eric Nicola says.
Putting more in there, sinking, putting fire. I just wanted to do that because I thought it'd be cool to throw a little bit of orange reflection on my boat.
It's provocative. It's provocative, man.
Yeah, we got something happening there.
Is it blood? Is it fire? I don't know, but it's violent in the midst of a peaceful scene.
Oh, contrast. The old contrast element. I love that. That makes me I get a high. This like triggers endorphins for me when I do that. When I do this bright little orange reflection of, and sometimes it lies to me and says I've painted a great picture when I haven't. But when I put that contrast on there, I'm seeing the reflection of the other, man, that just does special things for my chemicals.
Dude, well, I'm going to go do special things with my chemicals here in a second, too.
Let's put some, we're going to put debris on top of the water. We got.
I got a date. I got a date with a volleyball.
All right, we got to go. There's some debris on top of the water.
That
was fun. This is all for fun, It's
there's
just
your debris.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole picture right there. It'd be kind of nice to see this filled. This is why we pre-mix colors.
It's been great, you guys.
There you go.
Joe, I want to just share with you real quick something.
Okay.
Are you down for sharing, Joe?
Yeah. As long as it's not like super personal, maybe we could wait till after the stream's over.
Yeah. Well, it's not like a naked picture.
Yeah. Let's take it out. Oh, beautiful. I like this. Nice.
Yeah. So
you really meant
getting lost in Arizona from
nice. Hey, I remember the first post of this, and that is looking even better than when you saw it the first time. That has more of that 3D plane look to it.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice. I like the texture of that canvas in there too. It's cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's
colorful clouds.
Yeah.
Purple mountains, majesty.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful work. The Purple Mountains. We see a lot of those around here.
Oh, this is fun. Sketch for an upcoming project.
Okay. Cool line art. This is a
mini golf park where you can also go glamping. Okay.
Very nice. I like that. That's cool. Very downward perspective in that. Mm-hmm. Like we're up high looking down. Because of how much you can see the tops of the chairs, this puts us up high, really, really looking down.
Yeah. Owner hidden.
There's some file there.
All right. And then this last one, Tree Mountain Field.
Oh, nice.
I believe this is the same artist, if I had to guess. Is that
cool? Artist. Oh, that looks great. Beautiful work. Yeah. This is Jacob. This was Jacob's picture that he was working.
Okay.
He was doing that. Yeah, we saw this. Maybe this one's progressed since the last live stream, but if not, it's cool to see it again. That's beautiful work by Jacob there. Very 3D. I always appreciate a plant with foliage that comes toward me in the middle. That's a hard thing to accomplish. It's a good effect. Real careful work with gradients to accomplish that effect. Beautiful work.
Yep. All right. Well,
okay. There's our frozen screen right there. There I am.
I'm not actually
in that position right now. That's just the.
That's gonna be hard on your back, dude. You're gonna want to stretch.
Yeah. Well,
all right, let's get out of here. I gotta go.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good seeing you. See you next time.